Hello, my dear children. Hope you all are doing good. Welcome back to the English class. Let us continue the lesson, The Heavenly Parasol. So far, children, I hope you remember the story. We have seen how a Swayamvara ceremony was arranged for Amrita Prabha, the princess of Pragjyotisha, and how she chose Meghavahana as her husband. After that, we see when the couple go to seek the blessing of the king. At that time, he was blessed by the parasol of Lord Varuna. It cast its shadow on Meghavahana and Amrita Prabha, and it was a sign that Meghavahana would have a bright and a successful future. Later on, we see how Meghavahana sets on an expedition. While on an expedition, he hears somebody crying, and when he goes into the forest, he sees that there was some sort of human sacrifice about to take place. Okay, a barbarian kind of a man was ready with his sword to kill another innocent man. After witnessing this particular scene, let us see what Meghavahana does or what he decides. So let us continue from page number 3, 13th paragraph. "Stop," cried the king, shocked at the sight. "You wretch, you dare threaten another's life in my realm?" The barbarian dropped his sword in terror and fell on his knees before the king. So at once Meghavahana said, "Stop," and he was shocked to see one innocent man is about to be killed. And then he says, "You wretch, that is, you unfortunate man, who gave you the guts? How dare that you are trying to kill another person when I am ruling?" Then suddenly the barbarian dropped his sword. He got scared and then he fell on his knees before the king. "O noble one, have mercy. I am the leader of a troop of barbarians that live in this wood. My little son has fallen prey to some disease and is on his deathbed." So the barbarian replies to the king and he says, "O noble king, please have mercy on me." And he says that he is the leader of the troop of the barbarians who live in the forest. And he says that his son has become a victim or is suffering from some kind of a disease and he was almost going to die. He was on his deathbed. "If I kill this man, the gods will be pleased and save my son's life. If you prevent this sacrifice, my son dies and the rest of my troop will give up their lives with him." So the barbarian is telling the king, "See, if I kill this man and offer him as a sacrifice to God, the gods will become very happy and they will make my son all right. They will save my son's life. But if you prevent me from offering this sacrifice, then definitely my son will die. Not only my son, the rest of my troop, whoever are there with me in my group, they also will die along with my son because they cannot bear the pain." 14th paragraph, children. The king glanced towards a bundle on the temple porch and presumed it to be the is to be sacrificed boy. His heart was torn with confusion and compassion. Then king saw that at the entrance of the temple the boy was lying down and he was like confused what to do, whether he has to save the barbarian's son or he has to save this innocent man who was going to be offered as a sacrifice. "This man whom you desire to protect," continued the barbarian, "was wandering about alone and friendless in the forest. Is he of more value to you than this child with whom many persons are connected? The barbarian questions the king only, and he tells, see, this man who I brought to be sacrificed, he was just wandering in the forest. He was all alone. He doesn't have anyone. He is more important, or my son's life is very important? Along with my son, many other lives are connected. The victim sat crying on the ground, a look of terror on his face. Tears fell from the barbarian's eyes. Sir, tell me what to do, he cried. I cannot see my son suffer this way. So, one side, that victim, he is sitting on the ground and he is crying. He is scared because they are going to kill him. And on the other side, barbarian is also crying. He's telling the king, sir, please tell what to do. I cannot see my son dying. The king spoke firmly. Do not be distressed. I will save your son as well as this victim. I offer my body in sacrifice to Chandika. Kill me, O barbarian. May these two persons live. So now the king made her decision. The king said, now you don't worry, I will save your son also, and I will save this innocent man also. All that you want is to offer a sacrifice to goddess Chandika. No, I will offer my life to her. That is, the king was ready to die in order to save the barbarian's son and this innocent man. The barbarian, struggling between incredulity and fear, took a step backwards. Sir, you are the king. Your life should be protected at all times. Do not pity this victim. Let him die. His life is of no significance. So now the barbarian, he was like, what the king is telling, he is ready to die. No, he got scared and he's telling, no, you are a king. Your life should be safe. You should be protected. Why are you feeling sorry for this man? Let him die. His life is not important. He doesn't mean anything to anyone. The king shook his head impatiently. If I can use my body to stop a killing, why should I not? Do not speak another word. Kill me. So now the king said, no, I will not listen to you. When I can use my body to save somebody else's life, why I should not do it? Don't talk anything. Kill me, he says. The barbarian hung his head and made no move to take his sword. Now the barbarian just put his head down. He did not take his sword. If you cannot bring yourself to strike at me, I will use my own sword for the purpose. So saying, the king drew out his sword. Then the king said, okay, you don't want to kill me, no? No problem. I will take my own sword and I will kill myself. The barbarian and the victim watched in horror. As Meghavahana was about to strike himself, his head was covered with divine flowers of exquisite color and perfume, and someone held back his arm. So what happened was, just as the king took his sword to kill himself, barbarian and that victim, innocent man, got scared. They were just watching in horror. As Meghavahana took that sword to kill himself, suddenly what happened? His head was covered with some kind of divine, like heavenly flowers with beautiful color and perfume. And someone from behind, they caught his hand. The king whirled around in surprise and beheld a person of heavenly appearance. Then he realized that the barbarian, the victim, and the ailing boy had vanished. So when the king turned round in surprise and saw that there was a heavenly person, somebody who is not from this earth, somebody from heaven, he was standing there. And this side is turning and saying, there's no barbarian, there's no that innocent man, nor even that barbarian's son. Everybody had disappeared. A divine being addressed the bewildered king. I am Varuna, the lord of the seas. I have come to reclaim my parasol that was carried away from my town by the powerful Bauma, the father of your father in law. Then suddenly he saw that there was that person standing there, no? He says that he was Varuna, the lord of the seas, and he had come to take his parasol. You all remember the parasol, children, which was given to Meghavahana after his marriage with Amrita Prabha. He is saying the parasol was actually given to Bauma, who was the father of your father-in-law, that is Amrita Prabha's father's father. Okay, it has powers to quell calamities in my land. I created this illusion to test your nobility of mind. You are truly compassionate and noble. So Varuna tells that the parasol is very powerful. All kind of calamities like earthquake and famine and volcano, etc., it can calm down. This was just a test. Illusion means what? It was just like a make believe to see how noble you are. That barbarian, that innocent man, that sick son, everything was like a drama to check how good was Meghavahana. And Varuna was very happy. He said, you are truly compassionate. You are a very kind and a noble king. 23rd paragraph. Meghavahana bowed before the divine being and returned the parasol reverently to him. Then he asked hesitantly, O Lord, encouraged by your praise, I wish to ask for a boon. I need help to cross the waters so that I may conquer the islands. So Meghavahana, he bowed before the god Varuna, and with respect he gave back the parasol. And then he hesitated and he asked, and he said, O Lord, I am very much encouraged and happy by your praise. I just want to ask a boon or a blessing from you. And what was that? He wanted to cross the waters. That was his intention, no? He wanted to conquer the islands in order to establish peace over there. Varuna smiled. So be it. When you desire to cross the ocean, I will pull away the water. Then he disappeared with the parasol. Then the god Varuna, he smiled and he said, as you wish. So when you go to cross the ocean, that time I will separate the water. He then took the parasol and he disappeared. The following day, Meghavahana assembled his troops on the shore. The waters swelled and crashed on the ground, and the soldiers trembled at its might. Meghavahana rode forward and plunged into the foaming ocean. So the next day what happened? Meghavahana with his army, he went. And then it was time for him to cross the waters. The ocean was swelling, waves could be seen. He rode in front, he went into the ocean. All at once the waters parted, and the king, smiling at his troops' astonishment, beckoned them to follow him. In this wondrous manner, Meghavahana reached Lanka and won over its king Vibhishana in the form of friendship. So as Meghavahana stepped into the waters parted, that is, in between a way was made, and the soldiers were all surprised. The king looked at them and smiled and asked them to follow him. So like this, wonderfully. With the blessing of Lord Varuna, Meghavahana reached Sri Lanka and he was able to make peace with the king, that is Vibhishana. On returning home, Amrita Prabha welcomed him and then looked around in confusion. Where is the parasol, my lord? She asked. It never leaves your side. So when he went home, his wife Amrita Prabha welcomes him and then she was surprised. She's asking, where is the parasol? Always it'll be with you, no? It was never mine to keep, he answered. So Meghavahana said, it was not mine to keep with me forever. Yet the mark of favor shown to me by its divine owner will guide me through my life. But he's saying, but what blessing I've got from the owner of the parasol that will guide me all through my life. As he spoke, the skies darkened as if the parasol was casting its shadow over him, even from its heavenly abode. So, as Meghavahana was talking to his wife, he could see the shadow of the parasol over him, which means that though the parasol was not with him, it was in heaven, still it continued to protect him, to guide him always. So, with this, we end the story of the lesson, children. Now, let us see the meanings of some difficult words. The meaning of the word weary is tired. See the sentence, I became weary and strained after the long run. Slain, meaning kill violently. T-shirts were being sold to raise money for the families of the victims who were slain. See the next meaning, agitation, disturbed state of mind. I was totally in a state of agitation, so couldn't realize how far I've walked. The next meaning, brandish, the meaning of it is display or show. I could see a little boy brandishing his sword. Barbarian, primitive, coarse or cruel human being. I could see a group of barbarians dancing around the fire. Next, victim, living creature killed and offered as religious sacrifice. Many infants became the victims of religious sacrifice for the blind beliefs. Cringe. Cringe means to move back or lower one's body in fear. She cringed herself in fear while addressing on the stage. Incredulity means to show disbelief. I was totally in the state of incredulity when I saw the aliens landing. And the last one, vanished, means disappeared. Lord Shiva blessed the family and vanished. So children, these were some of the difficult words. So with this I end today's class. Hope you have understood. Go through the lesson. Thank you. Take care and God bless you.